Hello and welcome to Confessions of a Former Corporate Warrior. I spent 22 years in corporate America, and during that time, I had some pretty wild stuff happen to me. On this channel, I share stories of my experiences and, more importantly, the lessons that I learned from those experiences. Now, first, a little disclaimer. These stories come from different companies, different managers, and at different points in my career. This is not about exposing anyone. This is about helping other people to recognize toxic workplaces and bad behavior at work so that they can better advocate for themselves and to also know that they're not alone, they're not going crazy. These things do happen in the workplace and they're not right. So let's get into today's story, which is titled The Interview That I Should Have Ran From. So I was interviewing with a Fortune 500 company. I interviewed with the hiring manager, who was also the national sales leader. There were multiple red flags in this interview. The first red flag is that the manager said shit and fuck multiple times throughout the interview. And not just, a one-time drop, not a casual slip of the tongue. This was multiple times dropping shit and fuck throughout the entire interview. I'm not a prude. I use that language all the time, and I'm even ashamed to admit that I use that language in front of my kids. But I generally don't use that language in the workplace, and I would definitely never use that language in an interview. I also saw it as kind of a weird power play. Like, oh, he can use that language because he's hiring me, but I can't use that language because if I use that language, I surely would have been kicked out of the interview process. So that was a huge red flag for me. The second red flag is that this person took all of their virtual meetings from a bedroom. And the only thing you saw in their background was a big 4-poster bed. They didn't blur their background. They didn't put up another background, which both options are available. No, they left their background as is. So as you're talking to them, all you see in the background is a big bed. It was creepy. We'll just leave it at that. The third red flag is that I'm pretty sure, or in fact, now I know, that the manager lied to me about something that I asked about. And the reason why it was a red flag is because when I brought it up in the interview, my spidey senses were telling me that they weren't telling me the truth. So I asked the manager a question about something that I had seen on the write-up given to me by the recruiter. And the manager's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, it's right here on the write-up from the recruiter. It says this. And so I'm wondering how this would impact that. And he just got very flustered, very annoyed, and then said, I don't know what you're talking about, and just shut it down. And come to find out that my first day on the job, that not only was that thing that I asked about, it was in the works, had been in the works for a while. Well, my first day on the job, guess what? This is rolling out and taking place, and it's going to take away 50% of your commission. So definitely some huge red flags there. So what would I have done differently? Two things I would have done differently. One, I would have stopped the interview after the second fuck was dropped. Just completely inappropriate language to use in an interview. I don't care what company you're with, what industry you're in, just incredibly inappropriate language to use in a first time interview when you're first meeting with someone. The second thing I would have done differently is that I wouldn't have let the recruiter steer me against my intuition. I let the recruiter know about all the red flags. I could have just emailed them or texted them and said, not the right fit. Let's move on to the next one. But I knew that the recruiter was having a hard time filling this position. And I thought, maybe other people are having the same interview experience that I'm having. So I shared all of the red flags with the recruiter, and he kind of blew them off and kept pushing me into it. And, oh, you should meet other people at the company. And maybe that person was having a bad day. And to this day, I use that story as a perfect reason as to why you always listen to your intuition. Never let anyone steer you away from what your gut is telling you. And that's really the main lesson that I took from the whole situation is listen to your gut. Okay. If your spidey senses are telling you something, there's a reason why they're telling you that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please stay tuned for my next story, which is titled Dealing with Insecure Managers. See you soon.